So we were so wrong about the price of the Sony FX5, and I'm super excited about that. I'm happy that we were completely wrong. But what I'm wondering now is what's going to happen with the FX3 Mark II now that this is $48.98. So my theory is this. I think that the FX3 Mark II is going to be the official midpoint of the cinema line. So you'll have the FX30, the FX2, the FX3 Mark II, and then the FX5, the FX6, the FX9, etc., right? All the way up to the Venice, etc., those bigger cameras. But I think there's going to be that breaking point where the FX5 and up will have the cinema menus, and then FX3 and down will have your mirrorless menus. And there may even be a price wall there for things like the 16-bit RAW, hopefully not the open gate for folks that really want it. And just other features, if you will, 5K to 4K 240, 5K 120. Who knows? Maybe the FX3 Mark II is only 4K, or maybe it does go 6K to compete with the ZR. Who knows? We'll see. But I think that's going to be that kind of mid ground right there. But I also, on top of that, don't think that the prices will change for the FX2, the FX30, and FX3 Mark II. I think they'll just be treated as different cameras for different users, and the price structure will remain. So the FX3A will drop in price when the FX3 Mark II comes out, and who knows when that's going to happen. Who knows? One big thing for me is efficiency. I think this hasn't been talked about enough, right? Here's the reason that I think that the Sony lineup is so valuable. It's the E-mount first, right? Because the E-mount allows you to use camera bodies all the way through and the lenses all the way through all of their units. The second and the third party lenses as well are easily attached, but also the market supports it. So it's an open mount. So the third party Sigmas and Tamrons, etc. They even have stake in Tamron, but they support the E-mount. And so all the way through the system, you have lenses that you can go at any budget, right? So the early entry level person all the way up to your professional person that uses a Venice at a $50,000 cost can use, lenses. Secondly, efficiency. Here's the thing that wasn't talked about a lot yesterday. It was mentioned, and I think Cosey covered it the most. The data rates on the FX5 are great, right? And that's kind of what's hindering the Nikon ZR is the data rates. That image is amazing, but damn, if you don't have good storage, then how much can you actually use the camera itself, right? And so I think the efficiency of the storage on the FX5 is something that's huge that people will talk about over time, specifically because there's so much, the cost of the storage is so high right now. I mean, outside of the Hassie where there's built-in storage, the FX5 having 16-bit RAW at a small compression is a win. And I think that is solid for the FX5 as it released. I think that's like an unsung hero that's not talked about enough yet. What are we thinking about the image of the FX5? There were several comparisons that happened yesterday between the FX3, the FX5, the Canon C50, R6V, the Nikon ZR, etc. And the biggest thing to me was the difference between the FX3 to the FX5. There's definitely been a focus on natural colors, right? And less clinical and a little bit more character and having more of a cinematic look, if that's a thing. And again, it could be the person's color grading and all of those particular things, but I did see in the videos that I watched yesterday where there were comparisons, there was a considerable amount of increased character for Sony, at least, because Sony all the way up to their televisions is extremely clinical and reference color and all that different stuff. So to see that was a big shock to me, because one of the things I love about the Nikon ZR and the reason that people are willing to deal with that crazy data is because the colors pop and the image looks so damn good. And I think that is something that FX5 is looking to not necessarily respond to, because Sony doesn't really do that. I keep saying that, but it's definitely something that they are aware of and paying attention to. So let's talk about the competitors in the market, right? Because a lot of people love to say, and this is no shade to anybody, right? A lot of people, well, you can get the same camera for the same money, or you can get a better camera at the same price. And that it's all true. All of those realities exist. But here's the thing. If you pay attention to Sony, they don't make cameras for the market. they make cameras for their users. And that's why OpenGate hasn't been in the last 2 cameras, even though they released 2 brand new cameras. They only focus on their customers. And when I say their customers, I mean the data points that they have internally. Believe me, they have more data points than us as far as their sales, what people are buying, what people are using, what film studios are buying, what rental companies are buying, etc. Because even though all of the other cameras exist, the FX3 is still the most rented camera, and for the most part, in the rental houses. And so regardless of all of the features of the other bodies, you are locked into ecosystems and markets and things like that, and that all impacts that. So the S12 is an amazing camera. The S12R is an amazing camera. It has all the features that a indie and an individual person would want and could use on a day-to-day basis. But if you have to put 10 cameras on a set and you have to go rent them, you're going to buy Sony bodies or maybe the Canon bodies, the C70s, C80s, right? But from a marketing standpoint and a business standpoint, it still is Sony leading the way, even though Canon may sell more to individual users across the country, across the globe, right? Because Sony is the one that's being used, and that paired with their Sony pictures, right? Their movie studio, it's the combination that allows that to work in that space. It's just like the Apple and Samsung conversation. Samsung has had better phones for freaking years. The phones individually are better, but the ecosystem and the market caters to Apple, right? That's why the blue bubbles are more important than the green bubbles, because no matter which direction you look, you'll find an Apple accessory. You won't find a Samsung accessory. So even though the Fold has been better for years, the S29, I don't even know what model we're on, has been better for years, right? We still are buying that same damn iPhone 15 that looks the exact same for the last, well, I still have iPhone 15, the same iPhone that has looked the same for the last 10 years, right? Even though the other places, Apple, Nothing, etc., have made more advancements, the ecosystem and the market caters to Apple, just like the ecosystem, the market, and the industry caters to Sony. And that's why it doesn't matter that you can get a Lumix S9 with 6K, because you'll never freaking use that on a movie set. You will if you're an individual person, but you won't if you're a business. Okay, so lastly, this is the last thing that I'll talk about in this particular video, because I will be speaking with Kofi and some other buddies around this and then doing another video. But I do like this coffee and chat style, and I think I might do this a little bit more. But the last thing, what do we think about the features that are officially announced at this point? Is there anything that you were hoping that would be there that's missing? Like, I know a lot of people are saying internal NDs. I just don't see that in this body style, and I think that's again going to be something that's going to be up in the FX6s and above. It's like not going to be in the mirrorless style body, right? It doesn't work. Like Blackmagic Pixis doesn't even have it, right? But at the same time, if that's important to you, I understand the value and what it would bring to you, and being upset about not having that in this particular camera, but that still makes you need to buy the FX6, right? And that's really the true story of it, right? It's affordability versus practicality within the range of the models, if you will. Sony has different models, and for business reasons, they will keep those things behind a paywall. And we can be upset about that. We can be mad. Some of us are indifferent. Some of us are in industry ourselves. Like, I've been in corporate retail and professional tech services for the last 15 years, and so I get it. I get separating model. As an individual person, it's like, shit, man, I really wanted, OpenGate and different stuff like that, or I really wanted this and that. I get that 100%. But on the flip side, I'm in meetings that make these same types of decisions, and I understand how you have to leverage a model, a different model, range of different models, and how you have to keep the value for each of those particular models. And that's what we call a paywall as a consumer. As a business, that's called an asset protection, right? And so, I mean, not really, but that just for lack of better terms. But so how do we think about the features that were announced or not announced? I'm ecstatic with what is on the camera itself. And I really like the features that come out. The removable IBIS was an interesting thing, and I wonder if that's because the IBIS just doesn't work with certain modes. I didn't see that yesterday announced, removable IBIS, but I did see a lot of people saying that the IBIS doesn't work in certain modes. But does it lock itself? Does it not move the sensor? Or does it just not activate and you still will have like the jello effect should you mount it inside of like a car or something like that? That is very interesting, and I look forward to hearing more about that as people do more reviews. So last question, am I buying? A lot of people have asked that, just across, not just me, but like across, like, am I? But yes, I will be buying the FX5 eventually. The price makes it more reasonable to buy now versus where I thought it was going to be around 6,000, 6,500. Like the 4,800 is right around affordable for me. But I'm not buying it right away, and it's because I need to replace my photo camera first. Not that I necessarily need to. I use the A7C II primarily, but as my business has taken off, I want maybe the A7R6 or the A7 V, and I'm going to make a decision on that. But I wanted to see the landscape first, and so I may not make that decision until the fall, because here's the reality for me, for you that's potentially watching, and anybody else out there. Just because a new camera has come out, it does not mean you need it today. Because a new camera has come out, it does not mean that the cameras you already have are no longer valuable. The A7C II, the FX30, the A7S III, the Nikon ZR, the Pixel 6K that I really love to shoot with, are all extremely still valuable for the different use cases that I use them for. Even the Micro G2 that I'm about to mount, that's sitting right over there on the cables that I'm about to mount above for my chop down shot, is extremely valuable for the uses that I'm using it for. And so keep that in mind as you get ready to make your purchasing decision. Pros, cons, what will it do, what won't it do, and does it fit what you need it to do? And at the end of the day, if your camera that you already have does that, you may not need to buy the FX5 right away. That's kind of where I'm at. But I am going to buy it eventually, because I do need to update the A7S III because of the autofocus and some of the other features like the open gate and things like that that I'm using on my Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. And so I am going to buy it. I don't know if I'm going to buy it today, but I will get it eventually. I just don't know if I'm going to buy a photo camera first or I'm going to buy that one. We will see. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's content, consider subscribing. As always, stay cozy in that crazy world, and I'll see you in the next video. I do like this coffee and chat series, so I like this. Let me know if you like this too. All right, as always, see you in the next one. Peace.